Good morning. How is everybody? Oh, thank you. We'll give those last few hallway stragglers a minute to walk in the door. Hopefully you are getting settled. You had your coffee. Thank you for selecting this session to spend your first 75 minutes today. I want to just, before we get started in earnest, introduce myself. I'm Shelley Marston. I'm a product marketing manager. I look after the meetings and video workloads. And these are my colleagues, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Thanks, Shelley. So I'm Dan Stevenson, and I run product management for all of the Skype for Business meetings work, which is really what we're here to talk about today.
And I'm Mike Jordan. I'm a senior program manager in the customer experience team. We look after customers. We do a lot of best practice stuff, adoption stuff, that kind of thing. So I'll be covering the best practices later on in the session.
Very good. And you want to introduce Kavita, our demo buddy?
Oh, I can do that. We also have Kavita Kamani, who's a product manager on the meetings team. And if the demo works, it's thanks to Kavita. And if it doesn't work, it's the network, or it's Shelley. Yeah.
Blame it on the marketing gal.
Yes,
all right, so now that you know us, thank you, gentlemen. I'll have you come back up here in just a minute. Now that you know us, we'd love to get to know you a little bit. How many people in the room, by show of hands, have Link 2013 deployed in your enterprise? Guys, check this out. Did you look? Dan, look at those hands. How many people in this room have downloaded the Skype for Business client and are using it? Fantastic. That's lovely. Fantastic. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, I'm in the marketing team, so I have the opportunity to meet with and speak with customers and users on a fairly regular basis. Certainly my colleagues in engineering do as well. But I've also had the opportunity to do some research with our customers and their IWs or end users. And naturally, or as you might expect, a number of trends come up and things that really I call the universal truths of what our IWs or end users are experiencing. I don't think there's a lot of new insight here except to say that, or for you, especially those of you in this audience who have been in this industry for a while, many of you have deployed Link, you know some of the challenges, you also know some of the opportunities. But these things come up so often that I think it's well worth talking about them for a minute and using them to set the context for the session. You know, meetings is a part of the overall Skype for Business offering or suite, and that's not because it's convenient to label it that way and put it in there. It's because it's part of a UC strategy and an overall communications and collaborations approach. And we find that that really aligns well to the things that our IWs are experiencing and the tools that they need to do their jobs and do so in an environment that's changing. And you can see here, I think all of us acknowledge this idea that we're global. We're global and we're distributed. We don't live in the same or function in the same way we did even 5 years ago. We're working from all over the world. We telecommute. It's not unusual to do that anymore. And we want to be working with teams in a collaborative way. And so the idea that Gurdeep talked about on Monday of a traditional audio conferencing, it doesn't cut it anymore. We need to share content. We want to collaborate on slides. We want to co-author. We want to work together in a way that a traditional audio conference just doesn't support. And again, because we're working with teams that are all over the world and we're distributed, we need the tools that make that possible. And you can see some of the stats here. It's pretty staggering when you think about how many people are working with teams on a regular basis and meeting with groups that aren't in the same building and not even in the same geography. On the other side of the coin is this idea around mobility. You know, again, if you think even 3, possibly 5 years ago, when you talked to someone who had a mobile device that was given to them by their employer, it was often talked about as a tether, the thing that sort of held them back. And I can see some heads shaking in the audience. You know, when we talk to IWs now, it's a completely different ballgame. They actually look at that device and consider it to be the thing that allows them to be more flexible, to make the trades that they want to make in their personal life, be at their child's baseball game, but still be accessible to their employer. You know, make those choices for themselves. So for many people, the idea of mobility and, of course, meetings on the go is all about flexibility. So they don't feel like they're making trade-offs anymore. They're not feeling like they're tethered to that work environment. They can do it where they need to and still be productive. And we really want to capitalize on that, right? These are the needs and the opportunities for our users. Now, I know that you know that Microsoft's been in this productivity space for a long time. We're already delivering the tools that make productivity more possible, more easier to accomplish for many people. You know, it's the familiar tools that people are using every day as a part of their work experience. And so the way we look at it is so much more is possible with Skype for Business as a part of that equation. I like to talk about it as being sort of the heartbeat or the real-time communication side of the productivity equation. You know, when you think about your desk, it's sort of a flat, one-dimensional surface. When you think about the conversation that you can have with people while you're collaborating, while you're working together, it becomes a very different experience. And it becomes, you know, your content comes to life. And that's the way I think about it. It's also the way our users talk about it. They feel like when they can understand someone's availability and presence and actually engage in an instant message with them and escalate to a meeting and share content and audio, video, they do all of that naturally, it's actually then more likely that they'll do it regularly. And so that's, again, something that we capitalize on when we think about the Skype for Business experience. So I think there's the meta point here is that you want to really appreciate that Skype for Business is one solution for all meetings and conversations. Again, one solution for all meetings and conversations, not 3 different vendors, not 3 different services, not 3 different experiences to do a web conference, to do an audio conference. Meetings are a part of that UC and collaboration platform. So let's talk about that just a little bit more and think about it largely from the participant's perspective. You know, a number of the tools that are in the market today, they force you to choose. You have to prioritize what's more important to you. Audio, is it video, or is it content? And as you'll see in many of the demos, we're actually not asking you to choose. We're asking you to personalize. How do you learn, right? How do you consume content? Do you want to see the whites of someone's eyes, or do you want to hear their voice while you're looking at the content? The beauty of the experience, as you'll see, is it allows you, Lynn, to choose. I pick on you because you're in the front row. You can choose based on what you like to do, how you consume content, and how you collaborate best. It also doesn't make you decide, it doesn't force you to decide, oh, if I'm going to do a video call, I have to be at my desk. If I'm going to share content, I have to be at my desk. Actually, all of the ways in which someone joins a meeting is really personal. Maybe I'm doing it from my desktop today. Maybe I'm traveling in a faraway place tomorrow and I want to do it from a mobile client. Either way, again, the preference is the user, and we want to give them the opportunity to join in a way that's comfortable for them. Now, again, we know that many customers have sort of the lowest common denominator need, and that's PSTN dial-in in some cases. And so you'll see, as we've announced on Monday, and as we'll continue to talk about, we're beginning to look at integrating PSTN dial-in and dial-out into the scenario. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. I'm trying to stifle them. It's embarrassing. So what you'll see from Dan and Mike in a few minutes is the meetings experience specifically is really designed for all kinds of meetings. We think about it as a continuum. It's all the way from the relaxed, highly collaborative sessions where we're all in the middle of a document, we're all sharing our video, we're talking at our will, all the way through to the more formal broadcast or one-to-many scenario. And again, our ambition is to fulfill all of the scenarios on that continuum. We don't want you to have to go to one vendor for the big meetings and one vendor for the collaborative meetings, and then another vendor if you need to do event-type activities. We want to be that solution, the one solution for every meeting, every conversation. So it's important that we think about that in the way people, again, really use these tools. Sometimes I'll have a conversation that's spontaneous. Sometimes I'll need to schedule something with you. The tool supports both scenarios. And certainly we want organizers to have the tools that they need. And so you'll see in the experience not only the things that make it comfortable for the IW, but also for the organizer to pick up the app, to use the meeting experience on a daily basis. They don't have to learn something new every day to take advantage of the meetings. So Gurdeep also mentioned that we've prioritized video as quite an important part of our experience. Not only have we prioritized it in terms of the user experience, but also just in terms of thinking about it from a total cost of ownership. We want the experiences to be high quality, but low cost and accessible to everyone. You know, historically, video has sat in a conference room, possibly locked up for only use on certain occasions. You had to have a certain type of AV resources, a resource accessible to help you with that. We don't want that barrier to exist. We have, again, so much research in front of us that says people want to use the tools, but they're actually encumbered by some really basic barriers that we can help them get beyond. And we do that through this, again, familiar user experience in the meeting tool today. We encourage usage by knowing who's accessible, who's available via video. We make you feel comfortable doing it. You can see yourself. Users often say to us, hey, if I can't see myself, I don't know what's going on behind me. I don't want to embarrass myself. How does my hair look? You know, we actually take steps to build things into the experience that address those really human needs for confidence, right? We want people to feel great using the experience. And you can see that we don't want to limit these things to just conversations between Kavita and I inside of our enterprise. We want you to be able to have rich video and collaboration experiences outside of your enterprise with partners, with customers, and certainly your consumers. You know, hopefully one thing you've seen from us is this idea that extending UC beyond the enterprise is so important to us. Many of our ambitions around federation and Skype to Skype consumer connectivity is really all about unlocking those new scenarios. So hopefully you'll see that come through in, again, some of the demos. And last but not least, and I had someone bring this up to me this morning already, you know, we're super focused on interoperability. We've talked for a long time about interoperability in the context of voice, and with this release of Skype for Business Server, you see that we're actually investing in interoperability with video. So traditional or legacy VTCs, we're actually building in that kind of interoperability into our server delivery. And you'll see a little bit of that in this session, but there's also a session devoted totally to video interoperability. We know this is super important to you. You have legacy equipment. You have an install base that you want to be able to engage, have the usage of that device, you know, live on and have a more useful life. And so you'll see scenarios where we want those endpoints to be able to join a meeting and participate like a first-class citizen in the meeting experience. Again, we know the value increases the more people that you can get into a meeting and participating. So we're looking for ways to open up those doors. Now, again, I mentioned that you don't always sit at your desk for a meeting. You're not always in a convenient sort of spot for a meeting. We look at this as really the integration of spaces and collaboration. So this isn't a device story, but what I want to articulate is this idea that the more you think about how your space is used, what kind of behavior your users have, how will they expect to walk up and engage with a device, the more successful you'll be in having people use these things. And we know this, again, from a lot of research about the intersection of the spaces and the way people behave. And so we're making investments across this continuum. Some of the examples you've seen here this week are Surface Hub, a fantastic collaboration device designed for a group collaboration experience, but with Skype for Business baked in so that you can actually reach out, again, beyond the people that are standing at that Surface Hub. It's in the booth. You should definitely come touch it, play with it. And then, of course, there's also the Skype room systems. I talk about these as being a built-for-purpose device. They look and feel a lot like VTCs. They have the characteristics of a VTC that, again, for people that have made that investment, they feel comfortable. They walk into the room. They know what it kind of does. They understand how it should feel. And so you'll see a significant investment with this, in this area with partners continue. Also, in the booth, please come see those. As I've already mentioned, we'll continue to look for ways to make them interoperable with legacy Tandberg devices, working with a host of qualified partner devices from large to small scenarios. Dan will talk a little bit more about this. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I hear over and over and over again, it doesn't matter if it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and I expect these to be common 5 years from now, when we look at all of the reasons that we invest in unified communications, these themes come up every day in every conversation I have with a customer. But there's one really core principle to all of these. It's the idea that in order for you to realize reduced complexity, realize cost savings for travel, realize productivity, people have to use these tools. And they're not going to use the tools if they're hard to figure out or inconsistent or painful or the quality stinks, or any of the things that you hear every day into your help desk. And so, again, what you'll see from us is this constant focus, this customer obsession, if you will, for the quality of experience, the familiarity, the ease of use that makes it possible for you to realize all of these benefits. And with that, I'll leave it at that and invite Dan up to the stage. Dan, you're in business.
Okay. Thank you, Shelley. Okay, so I'm on a tight schedule here because we got a lot to cover. So these will be deep dives, but one breath should cover all the dives. These are the things I'm going to go through. We're going to try and set aside 15 minutes at the end for questions. So remember what we're talking about, and if you do have questions, bring those up. The first thing I want to talk about is actually a demo you may have seen in the Monday afternoon session on the Skype for Business intro. If you have, it's like watching a rerun or Blue's Clues. You can look this time for your favorite character or the part that you missed. What I'm going to talk about is Skype and Office document collaboration and integration. And this isn't not a terribly original idea that we had a few months ago, but it just occurred to us that we've got this great collaboration tool, and people are in meetings all the time. And when you're in a meeting, a lot of times what you're doing is working on some kind of a work product or a document or a presentation for another meeting or something like that. And you then email URL around, or you open the doc up and everybody looks at it and comments on it. And then on the other side, we have this fabulous co-editing, co-authoring experience in the Office applications, which is getting better and better and better across the web clients, the rich clients, mobile clients, et cetera. And it almost seemed criminal that we hadn't integrated these two. We weren't alone. Actually, none of our competitors do a terribly good job of this either. But we thought, well, this is something we should really try to fix. My pet name for this feature is Word with Friends, because you're using Microsoft Word with your friends. Rather than talk about it, let me actually cut over to a demo here. Wake up our computer. 6. All right, so here I'm actually going to show a few things combined here. So here I am setting up a meeting. I'm actually in Outlook Web Access just for because that's what the demo requires. I've got 2 documents. This is not a touch screen. I always make that mistake. Kids will never make that mistake. So I've got 2 documents. One is a PowerPoint, top things to do in Chicago. You can see that's actually a local attachment. That's something that was on my desktop that I added. And then on the right, it says all about meetings docx, and it's got a little permissions things. That's something that came from online. That's something where in the mail clients now, you can actually make a cloudy attachment. It'll automatically upload the attachment. So I'm going to go ahead and send this invitation. I'm inviting Kavita, who conveniently is logged into the other laptop. But let me go ahead and join this meeting here. And then switch, pick up, and remember my password. Go to my calendar, or go to my Skype for Business client. I said it right. And it's not there, but that's okay. It hasn't synced yet, but I can go down here and up, online meeting. There's so many ways to join a meeting. And so now I'm in the meeting over here as well. So I'm in the, this one is a touchscreen. All right, so we're good. If you notice something immediately on the little badge down here, there's a little orange button. This is, if you haven't seen this Skype for Business client, I think a lot of you have from the show of hands earlier. This is the share button. We got rid of the peaks. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. When you click on this, it's going to bring up a what we call the content bin. And this is showing the things that I've uploaded and shared into this meeting, and what's available in the meeting. Let me actually go to the other laptop and show you this as well, because this is the person who actually organized and set things up. And so I can present now. I can click Present Now to share that PowerPoint out. But you notice I never actually uploaded this PowerPoint. It was in the attachment. It was in an attachment to the meeting invitation, and it seems like, okay, I attached something to the meeting. I kind of want that to show up in a meeting. So now it does. Like, that's kind of not rocket science, but it's really important that happens. We mapped the software to the user intent. And the Word document showed up as well. But the Word document has this interesting button next to it called Edit, which is kind of what you'd want to do with a Word document in a meeting, but you don't really want to do that inside the Skype for Business client itself. You have Word for doing that. So let's see what happens when I click the Edit button. Freaking out here. Everything disappeared. Now it's coming back. Excellent. And wait, I'm in the Word doc, and I've still got my Skype for Business call going on over here, and it's this helpful little call monitor thing that I can show and hide and look him in the whites of the eye, as Shelley was saying. And then I've got Word open. It's the Word Web Companion web app, and I'm editing away. And let's switch over to the other machine. And I'm in the exact same experience. And if I make the browser not maximized, you'll see it's also got this little helpful banner on the top that tells you this is the document that you're editing and sharing in the meeting. I can do a little co-editing, editorializing, come back over here, and you see it's already synced. And look, there's like a little clever red avatar there as well. That's one of the cool, that's not Skype for Business, that's Word doing that, Word co-authoring, Word co-editing, enabling that. So you've got this great Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, et cetera, co-authoring experience that exists independently from the Skype for Business meeting. You've got the Skype for Business meeting, which is a great way to rendezvous people around a calendar, point in time, provide the voice and video and IM channel, and now we've combined those together. Both at schedule time, so when you choose to have a document to share up front, it magically and automatically shows up in the meeting. And in the meeting, I could have, by the way, added a document as well. And in the meeting, then when I want to edit, everybody gets access to that. So we go to OneDrive, OneDrive for Business, and we set the ACLs appropriately. And then it opens on everybody's endpoint. And it's actually very cool the way that works. So let me switch back to the PowerPoints here. There's actually two directions we have for this Office Skype integration. This is the first one I demoed here, which was Skype to Office. You start in a Skype context, Skype for Business context, and then you choose to share into Office. I won't show this, but we also have a version where if you're in Office 365, say opening up a Word document in the WAC, the web app, there's a Skype chat button, and that will start a Skype chat associated with that document with the Skype for Business chat with the co-authors of that document, which you can then escalate into a meeting. So we go either direction through that. Okay, that was the demo, so we saw that. Next, I want to talk about broadcast. I'm not going to do a demo of this. There was a session yesterday that was awesome that Greg Barabalt did. There should be a recording of that. It's much better than the one on Monday where we had some network issues. But just to briefly summarize, Skype broadcast meetings take your regular Skype for Business meeting and literally with a push of a button extend it to 10,000 participants through the Azure Media Services content streaming network. There's no dedicated server or pool required on your side. This is all online based, but you can have a link, $1 in the cup every time I say link. Shelley there. You can have you can have a Link 2013 on-premises deployment, so I get $1 back, or a Skype for Business on-premises deployment, or, of course, be in Office 365. And because it's online, we're running full HEDR on it. Then Azure has their whole content delivery network, which provides a global network for streaming the media streams out. Everything's encrypted at the data level. And this is the best part of it for me. I mean, the organizer part is great, and you'll see Mike actually do a little demo of that later. But the best part for me is that the attendees just need a browser to join. And they can join on any phone as well. And you just need a browser. You don't need to install any special software or anything like that. And we have all these great integrations we and our partners have built around it. So there's Bing Pulse. There's a Q&A from a company called Event Builder that we had on stage yesterday. And there's more that we have and more coming as well that really, I think, up the engagement for that kind of a meeting. When you have 10,000 people, it's not really time for a IM, but there's other types of things that really resonate there. And then the video recordings from that are published to Office 365 videos. This is just a screenshot from we were running an internal Skype broadcast meeting of Satya's keynote on Monday. And so this is us. This is actually me on my phone, screenshot in the lower right, and in a browser on the upper left, watching Satya's keynote. And then that's the Bing Pulse audience engagement feature. In terms of some of the IT considerations for broadcast, it's in O365. I mentioned that if you're on-prem, there's a hybrid option using DirSync. And there's a number of admin settings that we provide, including themes and branding, some of the footer and links and things like that. The curtains that orange, you'll see it in Mike's demo, that orange screen that says meeting hasn't started or broadcast hasn't started, and you can upload a graphic to replace that. And then switches and knobs to do things like disable recording, disable the DVR, the TiVo style back and forth. All right, let me keep moving along here and switch to devices. And there was a great session yesterday afternoon as well on meeting room devices. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but just give you a kind of a survey of our big announcements here. So prior to this, we had Link Room Systems, which we now call Skype Room Systems. We have some great products there and some really strong partners that we're working with. This year, we're announcing 2 new products in that family. On the low end, the Polycom Roundtable 100, and then for more interactive, high-touch group collaboration experiences, the Surface Hub. And both of these are at our booth, so if you want to step by, you can see these in action. We consider these and Skype Room Systems to be part of the same portfolio from a product perspective, from an engineering perspective, from a technology investment perspective. On the left, and just to show you the pictures, on the lower left is a Skype Room Systems. In the middle is a Polycom Roundtable 100, and I don't know if I have a little mouse here, but that's the speaker puck. This back here is what we call the NUC NUC. That's Intel, I think it's an i5 in our case, in a box. And then there's a webcam on the top. And it all comes in a nice package. I don't know if we have the package at the booth, but a nice cardboard box. You unfold. It's got instructions about how to set it up. And I guess I'll say the best part about this, no offense intended, is that it doesn't require IT. We've engineered this to not require an identity in the Active Directory or an Exchange. It pairs to the user's phone when they walk in. They find the meeting URL on their calendar, and they tell the device to join the meeting. And behind the scenes, what it does is it does an anonymous join, and then the user's phone joins just to, essentially a no-modality join, and pulls the anonymous user through from the lobby into the meeting if anonymous join isn't enabled. Just to illustrate the portfolio again a little here, in the beginning, we had just the small circle in the middle around Skype Room Systems, and now we've been expanding both in terms of functionality and in terms of room size. And again, that small huddle space room size, despite being small, is actually really big for us, and something I think we will continue to invest in. In the same vein, and there's a session this afternoon on this, which Shelley plugged around video interop, but I just want to summarize that. We continue to have a video interoperability program, and then new in 2015 in Skype for Business, we have the video interoperability server. It's a new server role. It provides a video gateway for Cisco Tandberg legacy VTCs, translates the signaling, handles security, firewall traversal, and works with a number of models, and we're actually continuing to test a couple other models as well. And as I said, there's a deep dive session on this afternoon from Jeff Schertz at Polycom, which will go into a lot more detail on the interoperability program and what we call this, the video interop server. Let me talk about Windows client improvements. So a bunch of you have downloaded the Skype for Business client. We call that our flagship client, both for our comms experiences and for meetings. Number of improvements we made this year. First, we simplified controls. We got rid of the peaks. This is a little bittersweet for me because my past role, I was in charge of the clients, and I introduced the peaks. But I'm very glad, I'm ducking the fruit, I'm very glad that we've actually evolved our design thinking. And the peaks are those things where you mouse over the circle and this thing flickers up and you try and click on it before it goes away. We've gotten rid of that and embraced touch and more modern UX and ways people tend to use their software these days. Simplified the controls and made it much easier to use. The other thing we've done in the interest of utility and ease of use is this call monitor, which we actually pretty much stole wholesale from our consumer product, which is, of course, we're the same organization, so that's very easy. So when you have a Skype for Business call or meeting open and on the Windows client, and then it loses focus, so it goes into the background, you bring up Word, you bring up Minecraft, I don't know, whatever. It pops out what we call a call monitor, which is kind of like the video on dock window in the older client, but much more improved because it's automatic and it's got a couple call controls there for you. And that just floats on top of the screen, Z-indexed on top of everything, floats around. You can close it without hanging up the call, or you can keep it open and talk about the Word document or drift off into something else, plan your vacation, take studious notes about the session you're attending, whatever floats your boat there. And then we're also, I should say that this is constantly in motion. We're on a release train that has regular updates, and we continue to get feedback on the layout of the window, the layout of the UI, other features, the controls, and we continue to evolve that and respond to that feedback. And this is just a screen of what that looks like if you haven't seen it before. On the bottom, you notice there's the 4 main controls in the middle, and then a number of things around the sides there. We're still doing things like cropping to square, some of the things that you're familiar with from Link 2013. Talk about mobile as well, and then I'll talk about web. On the mobile side, I'm very pleased that we've checked off a number of boxes in terms of our mobile client support. So we have PowerPoint viewing, anonymous join, attending a broadcast, and managing in the first instance, is a Roundtable 100 room systems device, all from every major mobile platform, iOS, Android, and Windows Phone. This is a big thing for us. As you know, from our CEO on down, embracing a broad set of mobile platforms is very important, and it's something that we're very serious about in our group as well. Other things that we're doing within the mobile clients is we are rebranding them to Skype for Business. That's evolving over the course of this calendar year. That will also include some UI tweaks to make meeting join easier and faster and more intuitive. And we're baking in some telemetry investments, and I'll talk about telemetry in another minute here. As we evolve our online service, telemetry becomes very important for us to diagnose, triage, and fix issues before they start, if issues happen, before they start impacting a large number of users. So that's a very important thing for us to make sure is part of our ecosystem, essentially. The web client. This has been rebranded to match the Windows desktop client. Pro tip, if you ever want to open the web client in a meeting, does anybody know this? Show of hands, the little trick. You put question mark, SL equals, and then anything. I just put 1. After the join URL. So you right-click, copy it out of Outlook, paste it in your browser of choice, question mark, SL equals 1. Fun fact, SL stands for Silverlight because the client in 2010 had Silverlight in it. Even in 2013, I think we had a little bit of that. We've done some great improvements there, so it looks, it keeps pace with the rebranding that's happening in the Windows desktop client. A number of improvements around reliability and stability, so configuration, LOC, security, and some more availability and resiliency improvements. And then the other thing we did is, the browser world is on a journey, and that journey is away from plugins. Chrome is definitely on the leading edge of that, and as of Chrome 41, which was, I think, about 3 weeks ago, they officially dropped MP API support. That's the old Netscape-style plugins, which is required for audio, video, and screen sharing in the Skype for Business web app and the older Link web app. Google's been great about telegraphing that decision, and people have been responding. We have some ideas about how to evolve our web clients going forward, but for now what we've done is we catch that, and we actually launch what we call a shell app, the Skype for Business web app shell app, both on Windows and Mac, which is actually it looks like an app. It shows up in the dock on the Mac. It shows up in the taskbar in Windows. So it looks like it has a little icon and everything. It's actually just either WebKit or Trident. WebKit is the Safari rendering engine. Trident is the Internet Explorer rendering engine. Rendering our web app inside this shell and installing the plugin and all that. So it still works. It's kind of a slick little thing because it's got a whole taskbar and everything. It looks like you're running a real app. Launched from Chrome. Okay, so before I get into some reliability and performance improvements, I want to talk about something that Gurdeep talked about on Monday in his keynote, which I learned about over Twitter, which is great. I was always trying to keep up what our VPs are saying. This is what we call every meeting online, or internally emo. And if you know the Skype emoticon set, there's an emo emoticon that we're fond of. This concept evolved from a perspective that scheduling meetings is this extra effort, scheduling online meetings, it's this extra effort required that people forget to do, or they do improperly, or they copy-paste the coordinates from one meeting to another, and then they wonder why everything doesn't work. And all these things just kind of make it hard and cumbersome to do that. And it's only in Outlook and OS. You can't. If I schedule a meeting from my phone, then I have to go log into my PC and add the online coordinates. It's a real pain. So we are piloting internally right now a program around every meeting online where, in exchange, as the meeting invitation is essentially being sent out, we stamp it with the appropriate coordinates for an online meeting. There's a lot of work to do here. We have to make sure we understand all the different options that people set around meetings. We have to make sure this works with the Skype broadcast meeting solution. We have to provide all the appropriate IT and end user controls, because not everybody's going to want this or going to want to tune it and tweak it. So we're evolving that. I just wanted to provide some perspective on that since it was mentioned. We're evolving that, and right now it's a pilot that we're running internally. And happy to get feedback in the Q&A or afterwards on that as well and how that might play in your companies. Let me talk a little about where we are with reliability and performance. So I'll talk about investments we made around joining meetings and then investments we made around sharing into meetings. Around joining, this is kind of as I mentioned, we have a lot of telemetry. We're investing a lot in telemetry, diagnostics, triage, et cetera. One of the things we found is that a lot of times people will join a meeting or click to join a meeting only to find that the URL is expired and they can't get in. It's that dreaded error in the middle of the window that says, problem with your meeting URL or the meeting is expired, please contact the organizer. Nobody knows what to do with that, right? Because you just sent the meeting. Why is it expired? There's a million reasons why. None of them are anybody's fault except ours. And so one of the things we've done is just extend the default expiration time for meetings to 1 year. We did some data modeling and performance modeling on this. It actually wasn't a big hit at all on perf. And then every time somebody rejoins the meeting, we auto-extend that out another year. This took we measure everything in percentage points. This took several tenths or even several whole percentage points of reliability problems off the charts. We've also done some work in the clients, particularly in the Windows desktop client, to improve the resiliency for join during network failures. And wake from sleep is a pretty typical one, where we had a kind of a weird race condition where it would drop and then think it hadn't joined and then sign you out and sign you in, and everything would eventually come back, but it was a kind of a pain. And we also fixed a SIP disconnect bug and many, many other bugs around that. Just to show you an example of the telemetry we're using, I blurred out the numbers because there's some proprietary business information here for us. But this is an example of one of the dashboards we use to measure how we're doing in terms of our performance and the types of failures. You can see down the left is various types of failures that we're seeing in meeting join that we track across the various clients and the services. Then on the sharing side, some things that we've done to improve reliability and performance. For PowerPoint sharing, basic stuff around auto retrying after network disconnects. This is the one using the PowerPoint WAC server. Some client misconfig alerts that we fixed, and also better failover and HADR support. And then for screen sharing, reducing the bandwidth consumption by 10x compared to Link 2013 RTM. Unfortunately, that is not because that doesn't make it 10x better than it should be. It means that Link 2013 RTM had a bit of a bug in it, that it was 10x worse than it should be, but we fixed that. And we've also done some work to improve the reconnect resiliency in the screen sharing client. Okay, so that was my whirlwind tour through the deep dives. Very happy to get questions on that during our Q&A period. And now it's actually my great pleasure to hand this over to Mike Jordan. So Mike is the guy in our team. Among other things, he does a lot of customer engagement and guidance on deployments and configurations of Skype for Business. And he's also the meeting running expert. And he has evolved. I've been working with Mike for several years, and he's evolved over the last couple years a repertoire in a giant suitcase of hardware, but a repertoire of ways to run different types of meetings. And we thought it would be really great, actually, to learn some of the best practices that Mike has for running meetings of various sizes, including Skype broadcast meetings, and how to integrate that in. So if you're in a small room, large room, et cetera, using our tools, how you can manage that.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so welcome, everybody. Good morning. Let's just go through a few basics, first of all, of the kind of choices that I go through when I'm running meetings. Now, all this session now is talking about meetings from the really small one-to-one type meetings right up to, as Dan said, the largest Skype broadcast type meetings as well. So when you're thinking about doing a meeting, the first thing you really must get right is the right kind of hardware. That's the most important thing, because Skype, Skype for Business, and also the older Link clients, they all work best when they're running with the best hardware and the best devices. Best devices, I mean like the webcams, the audio devices, that kind of thing. So one of the devices I use a lot in my meetings is even just down to the little webcams, these little Microsoft webcams. But notice here I put a tripod on it. Now, one of the good things about doing a meeting is that you can turn the video on, obviously. But think about where the video position is, the webcam position is in a one-to-one meeting. If you go into a meeting with your boss and your boss has a low chair for you to sit on and you're looking up at your boss, just think how small you feel on that. Okay. Oh, pictures. This is my best side. Thank you. Sorry, wow, that was way off left field. It's the same with a webcam. When you're in a meeting with a webcam, try and maintain eye contact. In a lot of laptops, there's a webcam actually on the screen. Lift the laptop up so that you're actually looking at the person face to face. You get a much better contact then. You get much better eye contact. Once we've talked about the one-to-one type meetings, what about the bigger meetings, the more complex meetings? So you'll notice I have a lot of things here. I have an HD camera here. I have lots of other stuff. We have now ways of connecting in these kind of cameras into meetings. Now, in the white papers that I write, a lot of the sessions that I do, I get lots of questions about how do you choose the right kind of camera for the meeting. And we'll have a look at that in just a second. The right kind of setup for where the projectors are in the room, how you do the configuration of the screens, we'll look at all that kind of thing. So, did that work? No, it didn't. Good, okay. Right kind of hardware. Let's talk about video cameras for just a second. Now, when I'm doing a larger meeting, and this meeting may be even 10 people, but normally it's the town hall type meeting. When we do those kind of meetings, the kind of camera that you can use any kind of camera like this, like an HD webcam or an HD camera. But one thing I always do is to make sure the camera has three things. It has manual adjustable focus, manual adjustable zoom, and also a manual adjustable exposure as well. Now, there's a very good reason for that, and I'll show you that in the demo in just a minute. Because quite often when we have people in meetings, like I do, they walk around the stage. You have to be able to follow them really well. But of course, quite often a person will walk in front of the screen. Then you get the bright screen behind them, you get the black face in front of them because the screen has bleached out the face. So it's always good to be able to manually adjust the exposure on the camera. Lots of the medium range HD cameras enable that. That's actually a picture of the kind of camera that I use in my meetings. That's actually my personal camera. So a lot of those kind of things work. But how do you get the video from the camera into a Skype meeting? What we use is one of these little black boxes, okay? I'm not sure if I should mention the name. Oh, look, it says it right in the front there because it's written on the front of the box. They're available from lots of different outlets. This is actually a Magewell interface. Basically, there are several of these. Black Diamond do them. There are other ones as well. Basically, you put HDMI in one end of these. You can also have them that take an SDI signal as well, a more professional video signal, and a USB 3 out into the laptop. And we'll see how that works in just a second. So that's the kind of thing that I do for video. For audio, audio is really cool because audio is very easy. You can have the standard parts. You can have the Link and Skype phones. You can have all those type of devices. You can also use things like this Jabra headset, which is really neat because it clips into the ear and it's got the unobtrusive microphone really close. That's really cool for using in larger meetings where you have a presenter on stage, but you just need to be able to get the audio from them very quickly. But what happens when it's a larger meeting like this, and we have professional audio guys in the back running the audio? Thank you for doing this. How do you get the audio from there into a Link meeting? There are various different ways. For those who are on just watching the recording of the meeting and there's no video, I'm holding up a cylindrical tube which is about 4 inches long. One end of this tube has a USB output. The other end has what we call an XLR, or a microphone connection. With this, I can connect a microphone straight into my laptop, and it appears as an audio device in Skype for Business. That's the way that we can connect audio in. In fact, for this meeting, I'm using a slightly more complex device, which is a little mixer, which has an audio input and a USB output. That's the picture of the one on the left. On the right, we have a more complex mixer, which is the one I use in a lot of my sessions. But all that kind of thing allows you to go right from the very simple, easy meetings right through to the much more complex meetings such as this that we would do. Okay, so room setup. Let's talk for a minute about room setup, and then we'll get into the actual meat of the session, which is the demos. So, Shelley hates this kind of slide because this slide suggests that meetings are really complex to set up for Skype, and that's absolutely not true. It's very easy, even for a Skype broadcast meeting, if you want to do a broadcast meeting, to do it with a single webcam pointing at you and a good audio device, one of the recommended audio devices. That works really well. In fact, BJ Habercorn, one of our senior marketing guys, he did a broadcast meeting to probably 700-800 people recently from Enterprise Connect using exactly that setup. Worked really, really well, okay? You can integrate slides and all that kind of stuff, and I'll show you in just a second. But if you want to do the town hall type meeting, this is an ideal setup for a fully managed town hall meeting that maybe I would do, but you could do equally as well. And it's very, very simple. So basically, going from the left, we have a webcam, or a camera like this, an HD camera like this, going through a USB interface like this, straight into a PC. Okay, that PC obviously is connected to the Skype for Business client, which is joined into the meeting. Then we have the audio devices I've just been talking about. That's connected, probably the audio device is connected to the same machine. That's important because then you don't get lip sync issues, and also you can, if you have remote presenters, do switching via audio. Link, as it was then, and now Skype for Business does switching via audio, so when you're talking, the video picture changes to the person talking, which is really cool. Okay? For presenters, what we normally do is to have the presenter join the meeting and advance the slides actually in the link meeting themselves. Okay? What we then do is to have a separate PC connected to the projector, which is also joined to link, and that is running the meeting full screen, so the in-room audience can see exactly what the remote attendees are seeing via the Skype meeting. Okay, so that's the way that is working. And then also we may have a moderator PC as well, and that moderator PC will be handling things like the Q&A and that kind of thing. So this can be the normal Skype meeting that you would organize. We've done this for town hall meetings within Microsoft. Now, of course, at the moment, Skype for Business and the older Link services, we have a limit of 250 online users for Link and Skype for Business. We still have, in Skype for Business server now, we still have the ability to have your own separate pool and to run a large meeting in that separate pool up to 1,000 users. If that's an on-premises Skype server infrastructure, another dollar in the jar there for Link. So another Skype server, that will be up to 1,000 users. And there's, I've written a white paper on how to do that, and there are other white papers on TechNet on how to do up to 1,000 users within those meetings. But think about if you want to go to the 10,000s, that is where the broadcast meetings come in. It's exactly the same solution. One thing that is not particularly clear from some people's questions I've had recently is that when we're doing broadcast meetings, we actually have the link in a meeting where all the presenters and the producers are actually joined to that inner broadcast meeting, to that inner Skype meeting. And then that Skype meeting is broadcast out using the Azure Media Services. So I am going to show it all to you. So first of all, I'm going to go over to laptop 2. Okay, so this is my normal Skype for Business client. you can see here. Now, what I've done is to connect this camera here into the laptop via this USB, HDMI to USB interface. So, how did it connect in? If we go into the video devices, you will see it just comes in as a standard video device. I've got the integrated camera there. That's me. What a handsome guy I am. Not. And that is the HD camera view. Note that in the preview it's squashed. It's the aspect ratio is wrong. But when we actually broadcast the meeting or when we connect the meeting up, it will work fine. Okay. For the audio side, when you use the audio device that I was talking about, they come in as normally USB audio codecs. That's how they will appear there. So I've got PC mic or other devices, but I've got the USB audio codec there. And you'll notice there that as I'm talking into the microphone, coming through the mixer, the USB connection is there. You can see I've got signal. It's working fine. So that's how you get audio into the meeting as well. Note that I've got separate video and separate audio. I could also take the audio straight from the camera. The latest Skype for Business client understands audio. If you're injecting audio through the HD camera, it will take audio in as well. Now, one other really cool thing about these USB HDMI devices is they can take an output from a laptop. Now, think about that. When you're doing a demonstration, at the moment, if you want to do a desktop share is limited in the frames per second it can display, so you get quite jerky pictures. What we can do, though, is to take an output from a laptop, put it into the HDMI connector on these USB devices, inject it as a webcam signal into here. So instead of it being the HD camera, it will be the signal from the other laptop. And then you get to see everything in full HD quality in a webcam window. Now, bear that in mind for a second as we go on to the broadcast meetings section, and I'll show you something really cool in the broadcast meeting. So, I have just enough time to show you. What I want to do here is to show you very quickly how we control some of the settings within the meeting. So I'm creating, just for the sake of it, a quick meet now. Now this is, for those who haven't seen it yet, this is the new Skype for Business client. Looks very similar to the older Link client. One participant, I'm going to invite more people to this meeting, and I'm going to invite my Link Redmond Meetings client, and I'm just going to go over here and accept that meeting. Okay, so now we have two clients joined into the meeting. I'm going to start the webcam video on this machine. So you will see the webcam video coming up in here very shortly. So there's the webcam, and I can have the webcam started up here. Okay, so that's really cool. We all know about that. That's how it works. One question I get a lot now in the new client is where is the method to control where the speaker's webcams are. Well, I'll show you that in just, it's actually up here. This is where you do now. Pick a layout, speaker view is up there now. So what I'm going to do is to insert a PowerPoint presentation into that meeting. And of course, there's always been the way of doing it from here, present desktop or present PowerPoint presentation. When you're showing PowerPoint presentations, by the way, make sure you load the PowerPoint presentation into the meeting. Don't share it via desktop sharing. That's much less efficient than actually loading the PowerPoint presentation into the meeting. But did you know you could always do this through PowerPoint? If you have the presentation open already, you can do present online. It knows what meetings I'm in. I can click there, and I can now load that presentation up into the meeting, and it's actually sending it and loading it up into the meeting just like that. Who knew that worked? There you go. A few people. Thank you. Good. That's really cool. And that's been in Office for quite a while. So now I have the presentation in the meeting. Note also that I've got the thumbnails, etc., so I can see the thumbnails as the presenter. That's really useful. That's all still there. All that kind of thing is still there. When you're doing a full meeting, as I was showing you before, with all the devices on the screen, it's really cool to be able to put this full screen. That's that button there. So there, We can leave that running full screen now, and then another presenter can click through the presentation, and that will follow what the presenter is doing. Note I have down here the two video views. Not sure I want those there, so what I can do here is to put that to content view, do that full screen, and then that's really cool. Now, if you have more than one screen that can display different images within the meeting, what is really nice is to have a second screen with the actual presenter. And the way to do that is this. Okay, so go to speaker view, and you'll notice as you hover over the presenters here, you have this little up arrow that's going there. If I click on that, it pops the videos out. I can hide my video, and now I can show the presenter video full screen. Now, that's not particularly good because that's that webcam. What I can do, though, is to go, because I haven't cleaned the lens on it, actually, but what I can do is go over to this one and lock the video spotlight on this camera. Okay, go full screen on that camera. What a handsome presenter that guy is. And then I can turn that round and zoom round. Everybody wave and say hello. But what's really nice is you see there's Shelley, for instance. Now, Shelley is a bit dark at the moment, and this is what I was saying about being able to adjust the brightness or the contrast on here. So with this camera, I can increase the brightness on there and make it brighter or darker. Because one of the problems is as you scan around the room, you see, for instance, the spotlight of the projector at the back is bleaching out people in the room. So I can, if you had an automatic exposure there, you wouldn't be able to see people, but I can now make it much brighter. Okay? So that's the advantage of having a camera, that you can adjust the actual settings on the camera. But I'll put it back on the important people in the room. Hey, no, sorry, whoops. There we go, that's you guys. Okay, thank you. Right, wow. Okay, so just think, full screen presentation, one screen, full screen presenter, another screen, just so showing you there. That's easy. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go over to another really cool demo. I'm going to close out of that meeting. I'm going to close out of that meeting. And I am just going to show you very quickly on this laptop. Look at this. This is the exciting new stuff. Okay. I'm going to resume this meeting here, resume this call here. And if the demo gods are with me, what's going to happen is, okay, this is the new Broadcast Meetings producer interface. Now, as I said before, with Broadcast Meetings, all it is here is almost said it, is a Skype meeting. Okay, so all the presenters are joined to the inner Skype meeting, and then what happens magically behind the scenes is it gets broadcast out through Azure Media Services. What I'm going to do here is to start the broadcast, and at the back here, I actually have the broadcast, and this is all live stuff. So fingers crossed, let's hope the demo gods are with us, and we should just see what happens. Now note, there is at least a 20-second delay between what you see in the meeting and when the broadcast actually runs. So, and that's just normal. So it's live now, and notice that the broadcast is going live. And you are now live on a Skype cast from that machine. What I'm going to do very quickly, I've got time, haven't I? What I'm going to do very quickly is to invite one more machine, which is no, link R, maybe. That one. Okay, so I'm going to bring this one in. This is the one with the super quality HD camera. And just in a second it's going to join. Bear with me just a second. Now, while that's joining, what I can do here, at the moment I've got video only. I can do content only. So in just a second, that's going to swap over to content only. Count 20 to 30 seconds, and the broadcast will change to content only on the actual meeting. By the way, how did I do this? How did that happen? Well, when you join the meeting, if you're a presenter or producer in the meeting, you get two choices. You get sign in as event team member, that's the producer, that's the presenter, or you get join the event. So I did, first of all, I signed in as the event team manager, and then I joined the event. Oops. And of course, it's in the same website. So there you go, you see, so that's it. Now, I have two clients going. What I can now do is to right-click on this video, make it available for broadcast. That will actually be a single click in the final version. This is just a test version at the moment. I can do video only now, and then 20 seconds later or so, the content here is going to change just to, there we go. So that's side by side, that's video and content, and then in just a few seconds, it's going to change the content view. Look at the quality of that, and that could go to 10,000, did I say 20? It could go to 10,000 people at the moment and probably more later. And you'll see in just a second that I scan around the room. And by the way, one of the really cool things is, there we go, you see it's starting to scan now. One of the really cool things is I can pause it, I can wind it back to the start, and I can move it up again. So if I want to go for a coffee, I can, and then I can start it again later, and I can still see the same thing. Thank you very much. Back to Dan.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. That was really well done. So we're going to do a Q&A now. Mike, that was awesome. It's clear that Mike is a real clear expert here on everything related to running these meetings. Before we do the, that's the wrong machine. Before we do this Q&A, there's one encore demo I want to show, which Mike set up really well. So I'm in a peer-to-peer call here. This isn't a meeting. You're going to want to see this if you're thinking of leaving. Mike talked about desktop sharing and some stuttering around that. So I'm just going to do some desktop sharing here in this peer-to-peer call. And let's hop over to the other machine where I will accept the incoming meeting content so I can see the sharing. So I'm seeing the screen from the other one. And, desktop sharing, it works, but sometimes we know that the latency and such can be a bit of a problem. But let me bring up a video here. Fun fact, I can never do a demo without showing my kids. So it's my wife, my daughter, and soon my son at the bottom. And we are, oh, this isn't going to work, is it? Shoot. Uh-oh. It's actually, the problem is on the source side, not the, let me try it in Bing here, see if that's any better. So this is a Bing map. This is screen sharing, peer-to-peer. Do you see that's a lot better than a frame every 2 seconds or 7 frames a second. Let me see where we are in Chicago here. This is coming in the Office 2016 preview, and it's available if both endpoints are running the Office 2016 client. Let's see if I can get that video to work again, because that was just too much fun. And you're seeing, well, clearly there's a bug. All right. You're seeing approximately, say, up to 30 frames a second at 1080p. And this is being sent over as H.264 between these two endpoints. All right, so let's get over to some Q&A.
That's really cool. I hadn't seen that before. That's going to be so cool.
So on your broadcast meetings, 20-second delay, but it doesn't apply to the team members, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. The team members are all in the Skype for Business, local meeting, Skype meeting. They all see things real time. They can collaborate real time using the IM just for the internal presenters. Yes, sir.
How will the content sharing work if I'm sending a link meeting to a Cisco video room?
To a what, sorry?
If I have a meeting that's hosted in Link and now the Cisco video room select rooms can join into a Link meeting, will I be able to share my content from Link and have it appear in the video room?
So in the video interop right now, we only have video. What I would suggest you do is you bring that question and perspective to the interop session, which I hope is listed here. But to the interop session, there we go.
Okay.
Very bottom, the bottom one here, 5 o'clock, BRK 4119, to talk to Jeff about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are a number of third-party applications that do a video overlay, and they appear in Device Manager as software video. They appear in the Skype for Business and Link client as a video source, and you could see it operational when you're setting up the AV content. However, they do not work in meetings. Has this been approached in the Skype?
I'm not familiar with that particular problem. I don't know if you're talking about ManyCam and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
But I've used ManyCam in meetings before actually as kind of a hack for screen sharing or just to put fun effects into a video call or a meeting. I've had some stability issues in ManyCam, probably due to my dog fooding Windows or something. But in general, there's no reason why that shouldn't work. I'd be happy to follow up later and talk about specifics.
Thank you.
Yeah. One in the back there?
Yeah, pertaining to meetings, are there any limitations either to the attendees or presenters for the Mac client?
You said in any meeting or in specifically the broadcast meeting?
No, just pertaining to meetings in general.
So there's nothing built into the model or the system that disenfranchises or limits the capabilities of the Mac users. The challenge we have right now is that it's still called Link for Mac client is doesn't have all the features and updates that we have in the Windows clients. For meetings, my recommendation is actually to use the web client on the Mac. You get an experience that is nearly on par with the Windows desktop experience in terms of being an attendee or a presenter, uploading PowerPoint, screen sharing, etc.
Thank you.
Question on the left? Yes,
Yep.
front.
You mentioned the screen sharing improvements. You showed peer-to-peer. So I guess you went from RDP to 264 for the screen sharing improvements?
It's pure 264. There's no RDP involved.
Right. Previously, it was RDP. What about conferences?
It's a great question. We're not talking about future roadmap right now.
So it's only peer-to-peer improvement?
I'm going to plead the
Windows?
fifth because Shelly's right here. That'd be kind of stupid if it was only for peer-to-peer. But it's not there. Right now, it's peer-to-peer. Yeah.
Okay, right in the back there? Yep. Oh.
So
yeah.
front.
Actually, sorry, yeah, that's that mic there. They kindly lent it to me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Trying to save time. All right.
Is there any thought for multiple video, like webcam support for a single meeting? In rooms in our offices, we want to have a view of the people in the meeting, but we also have a whiteboard on the side that they then want to get up and collaborate and kind of do some old school whiteboarding on. It'd be great for them to be able to choose a second camera feed and then quickly switch over to that. Is that something you guys are thinking about doing? Is there another best practice for handling a scenario like that?
So what was the scenario again?
We're in a meeting room. We're sitting around a table. One webcam is here, right, looking at the participants in the meeting.
Yep.
Then we're going to go over to a whiteboard over here on the side, right? And so the challenge we face is not all the webcams that are sitting up on displays are easy to turn, right? So we have a second webcam connected to the PC that we can then switch to feed to. They could stand in front of the whiteboard and go to town.
What I would do there, and the quickest solution, is to have a second laptop, second webcam pointing in at that location, and just to use Lock Video Spotlight. Are you aware of Lock Video Spotlight?
Yes.
Yeah? So for those who aren't, if you right-click on a video image, you can lock the video spotlight on that video, and that's the one that's always displayed until you unlock it and then lock another video. So I would have two laptops in the room, one webcam on one area, one webcam on another area. Another option, of course, is the round table, the Polycom round table, because the Polycom round table is a 360-degree view, and it follows the active speaker. So if I'm speaking, and then if Dan speaks, it will swap from here to there. But it also gives a full panoramic view of the room as well.
Wouldn't the full panorama kind of distort anything that was being
No,
wrong?
no, it's actually really cool the way it does it. Talk to the Polycom guys and have a demo of it. It's a really cool device.
CX5100 and CX5500 are
Yes,
the
that's
specific
right.
devices.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
So in the when you showed the two-screen view, or kind of fake the two-screen view.
Yes.
If you have a room where you do have two screens, is there a way to make that persistent or the default so that when a user comes into a room to run a meeting, it automatically opens the speaker over here and the presentation over here, or is that got to get broken out every time?
That will be an LRS system, a link room system.
Skype room system.
Sorry, a Skype. That's $10 in the
You're
job.
about 20 right now.
Skype room system. There's no way to lock that. And in fact, it's best to set it up manually anyway, because then you can decide exactly how you want the layout to go. Yeah, please come to the booth to see the Skype room system. Yes, ma'am.
So the features you present at the very beginning about word integration and also present through the point. What's the requirement? Is this a new feature for Skype for Business and it requires both the client and the Skype for Business server?
So you may be asking about two different things. We can answer about both. First, what Mike showed, presenting from PowerPoint and uploading it into the meeting directly from PowerPoint, that's as of Link 2013. So that's been around for a few years. The feature I showed, which was collaborating in Word and having that be part of the meeting, that's only in, right now, only in Office 2016 Preview and Office 365. But you can, we're working on rolling that out more broadly.
But it also requires Skype for Business, or can work with Link training?
The integrated experience that I showed, where you have the content button in the client where you can choose and manage editing, and it draws the border around it when you open it, that's only in Skype for Business.
Okay, in Office 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very patient lady down there.
Yeah, I have some T-shirts too to hand out. So the next 5 questions, everybody gets a T-shirt.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Right.
Is there a number of attendees for a broadcast meeting, like a minimum where would it make sense, even if you thought that was going to be easier because you have a lot of external attendees?
No.
Okay, good.
A broadcast meeting, you can do it to 10 people. If you want basically a broadcast scenario where there's no feedback, you can make it as small or as large as you want.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and that's
you could do it to an audience of 1 and record it, and then publish the link to Office 365.
That's right. That's
video
great
as well.
Oh,
Here's it deployed.
that's why I don't play baseball or
far right?
basketball. Far right.
The desktop sharing bug you talked about for Link 2013 RTM, has that been fixed in Link 2013 today? Or is it a Skype for Business feature?
No, we fixed it in the CU to 2013 as well.
Okay, thank you.
I don't remember offhand the exact CU, but we have fixed it, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Got one in the back there.
T-shirt.
Is the fix you mentioned for Chrome 42 joining meetings, is that in the release for Skype for Business?
I'm not sure what camera.
I'm right over here.
Yes, the Chrome fix is in Skype. It's actually in. We have pushed that out to Link 2010, Link 2013, and Skype for Business and Skype for Business Online. We did a whole bunch of updates within the last few weeks to all of those. If you look through the release notes of any of the recent hotfix or CUs, you'll see that.
So that's in the CU for Linked Server 2013 that just came out?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay. In the middle, and then we'll get to that side.
So you were trying to play a video of your kids earlier. Is there a better way than feeding an HDMI out into an HDMI in device from one laptop to another to play video?
To do screen sharing or to play?
To play video. So hey, I want to play this YouTube video or whatever from one.
Right now, the best way to do that is to have it look like a webcam, because then you'll get integrated AV.
Laptop to laptop, HDMI out to HDMI in, or HDMI.
Yeah, or you can embed it in the PowerPoint, and then you click play, and then the people.
Okay?
Yeah, that's another feature we've actually had for a little bit now, where if you embed the video, not a YouTube video, but a video file in PowerPoint, and then as a presenter you hit play, it mutes the microphone so we don't get crosstalk, and then the attendees all play it.
Golden, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
T-shirt. Sorry.
Down there.
So in regards, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. First here, then there.
Yeah. When you showed the editing the Word document in the presentation, does that allow not just the host to edit it, but also the participants simultaneously?
Does it allow who to edit it? I'm sorry?
Does it allow hosts?
Oh, yeah, everybody. What it does is, what we do is we look at who's in the meeting, who's joined to the Skype for Business meeting, and we will send them all the URL and ACL it accordingly so that they can all look at it. They can all have edit privileges on it. We actually also pop up when you do that. I didn't show it because I preloaded the attachment, but when you initiate that sharing, we also right now pop up a dialog that says, we're going to grant permissions to everybody. Are you sure you want to do that? Make sure. And then you can manage those permissions through OneDrive. Like it's a standard way of sharing and ACLing files through OneDrive.
But it has to be in the cloud.
And that, it has to be in the cloud so they can all have the URL to it, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Run it back.
In regards to on bandwidth, the broadcast meetings still use an adaptive codec for lower bandwidth participants?
Yeah, it's actually in Greg's session. There's a whole slide on the different video formats and bandwidth supported. Yeah. And yes, it's you can watch it over 4G on a phone very easily. Yeah. In the middle here?
Yep.
Can you use the broadcast features just on-prem?
Can you do what, sorry?
Use the broadcast features just on-prem.
You can, the broadcast service runs in the cloud. You can control it from on-prem, join using your on-prem hosted accounts, and limit the audience to named accounts or people only in your company. So you could, but the streaming is all coming from our cloud and our CDN.
Okay. And who makes the audio mixer? Because it was quite interesting.
Sorry?
The audio mixer.
Who makes the audio mixer, Mike?
The various different ones, Behringer, Allen and Heath, loads of different manufacturers make. Look for an audio mixer that has a USB output. So many of them, but the ones I use are either Behringer, we use Allen and Heath, but there are lots of other ones. Mackie make them now as well, so yeah, loads of different models.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think we can do two more.
Yeah, we got two more questions.
And then we'll hang out.
Yeah.
Back.
One there.
Okay. Within our town hall sessions, we have professional cameras, television cameras. There is a director, there are directing people behind it. How do we get this signal from the various professional cameras into the Link conference?
Exactly the same way as we did for the session we did that BJ and Ben did on Tuesday. What we do is the video mixer can normally give you either a single SDI feed or an HDMI feed. Use one of these dongles, feed it into the Skype for Business in a meeting, and then you can broadcast it. You don't have to worry about the switching because they're doing it all for you. You just take the video feed straight from them.
In general, you put everything upstream.
Yes.
And so if it's in the physical room, you try and put it upstream from the Skype for Business client. So all it sees is a webcam either coming from that device or the mixer board. And we do whole studio deployments upstream through Microsoft Studios, and then a single USB camera source coming into the Skype for Business meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so one more question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just real quick. On the broadcast feature, currently, I noticed, at least in the demos for thing, it seems like the only audience feedback is like a polling feature. Is there going to be any additional possibility in the future to have maybe slightly different types of feedbacks and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we have Pulse, we have the Q&A from Event Builder, and we have aspirations to do both our own and work with more partners to build more of those types of integrations. I wanted to just show the, because I'm not going to get out of here without showing this, a video over screen sharing. So this is video being played over, it's my son and daughter, my wife, being played over screen sharing. Try this not on this capability, and it just doesn't work at all. But if you do it here, it's so great. Now I want to get on a plane and go home. All right. Really so cool. Thank you very much. We'll stick around to answer questions as well.